America brands this the axis of evil. This is the million-man North Korean military. Kim Jong-il is the absolute ruler. If he gives the orders, North Korean missiles could devastate Seoul, Tokyo, and Kyoto, possibly with nuclear weapons. And this is North Korea as it has rarely been seen before. South Koreans talk business with the North Korean elite. Former implacable enemies are discussing multi-billion-dollar investments into this sealed-off communist state. This could be the initial budding of revolutionary change. Why this change now? Is North Korea desperate because of a failed economy, poverty, and starvation? Or is North Korea deceptive, playing for time while becoming a major nuclear power, threatening East Asia and the world economy? The demilitarized zone separating South and North Korea. We approach from the north. Surprised South Korean soldiers monitor our movements. I was given unprecedented access from the North Korean authorities, despite the fact they did restrict my shooting. This is not just a separation between one people. It's a separation of culture, a separation of ideologies, a separation of economic systems. Why does North Korea need 1 million soldiers if it wants peace to build an economy? Major Pak Myog-chol answers our question. The North Korean military rarely talks to Western media.
That is the American Post.
Part of that answer lies in history. A sizable American force still remains here more than 50 years after fighting with North Korea.
So this is the place where we had this armistice talk with the Americans during the Korean War.
That war cost millions of lives. An armistice signed here split the Korean peninsula into the communist north and the capitalist south. There is still no peace treaty with the United States, and North Korea still views America as a threat.
We do not hide the fact that our nation does not have a good standard of living as other nations. Since the early 20th century and the Japanese occupation, we know what it means to be occupied. We can never again allow our country to be deprived of its freedom. And this is why we are tightening our economic belts to be militarily strong. We cannot resist the United States with imaginary military power. We have to build up our defense, be strong, and resist.
To make their point, local officials take visitors to the USS Pueblo. North Korea claims this was an American reconnaissance vessel spying on the country. In 1968, North Korean naval forces captured the ship.
These guys heard our secrets day and night.
The Pueblo, say the North Koreans, is a reminder of the need to be on guard against American plans.
They had 7 antennae, and they monitored our secret communications and passed the information to the United States.
입었던 군복과 신발 그리고 깃발 마크입니다.
And that is the flag, the ship flag, the mark, and the military uniform.
그래가지고 세계적으로 나눠서 임무 수행했습니다.
Our soldiers boarded the ship in 3 groups.
먼저 한 계조가 지휘소에 들어왔는데
One unit took the bridge. They arrested an officer and demanded to know who is the captain. At first he denied he was the commander, but after they aimed their guns at him, he finally admitted he was the captain.
The crew was freed nearly a year later after the United States issued a letter admitting the ship was on a spy mission.
We saw how the United States attacked Serbia in 1999. We have learned from the American aggression against Serbia and Iraq. If Iraq had a powerful military, the US would not have been able to wage war against it. America's Bush initiated a policy against us. He branded us as part of the axis of evil. Bush put us on a list of targets to be attacked. He wants to attack us with nuclear weapons. But we have our nuclear deterrence. We do not hide this. On the Korean Peninsula, why is there peace and armistice? We have the ability to reduce these dangers because we have this power.
Seoul, South Korea's capital, is just 60 vulnerable kilometers from North Korea's powerful military. Impoverished North Korea is capable of destroying this economic giant.
I think first and foremost is security. I think North Korea has to demobilize a substantial part of its military. What is it doing with over 1 million troops in arms when it's in such dire straits economically and politically? Reduce their troops, remove their long-range artillery, which threatens Seoul, start serious arms control discussions with the South. I think it has to come clean on nuclear weapons. Unless it does that, it's not going to fundamentally change its relationship with the U.S. or the rest of the world.
North Korea's founding father, Kim Il-sung, launched the Korean War. He viewed the offensive as an act of liberating the South. The American counteroffensive nearly destroyed Kim's regime. Kim established a strict communist state. When Kim died in 1994, the reaction was as if a collective father had died. He was known as the Great Leader. He also imprisoned tens of thousands of his people on merely the suspicion of opposing his regime. His son, General Kim Jong-il, took the reins of power, and he is known as the Dear Leader. Even though starvation gripped the country, Kim invested scarce resources to produce plutonium, the essential material for nuclear weapons. To stop plutonium production, the Clinton administration promised aid and 2 light water reactors to North Korea. The reactors were never built. North Korea embarked on a secret uranium enrichment project. When it was discovered, the Bush administration cut aid and pressed for economic sanctions. Most analysts believe North Korea already has nuclear bombs.
The Americans say the North Koreans reneged on their agreements. The North Koreans say the Americans reneged on their agreements. From the position of analysis, who's right, who's wrong?
Actually, I think, as far as the implementation of the framework is concerned, North Korea did not make many mistakes. I guess it has kept its promise. Clinton administration officially confirmed until the last tenor of its day that North Korea never ever violated the framework itself. Many American high-ranking officials, they would not expect North Korea to survive by the target date of 2003. By that date, North Korea was to receive, light water reactors from the United States, and so North Korea, was really betrayed.
We have a course, a strategy to deal with North Korea's proliferation of missiles and nuclear weapons. Many of these issues are undefined at this juncture. The North Korean government is a truly terrible entity. It still has its people in shackles, literally. The conditions in North Korea are still terrible.
Pyongyang is a city of facades. This was supposed to be the world's tallest building. It's only a shell. There are no funds to complete construction. There are wide boulevards, but no traffic. Few citizens can afford cars. Most visitors see victory monuments. This is what they almost never see. Pyongyang's Central Hospital. It lacks the basics of any modern hospital. Patients are crowded into rooms with beds sandwiched in wall to wall. Old film strips serve as bandage covers. With unprecedented access, we were allowed to meet eye specialist Dr. Tang Chol-sol. When a train exploded in Ryongchong, leveling much of the town, he was sent to treat patients.
I had an opportunity to help at the Ryongchon train disaster. It was a collective disaster. It was very frustrating, and I tried to help. The hospitals do not have adequate facilities. If I had just had some equipment, medicines, I could have cured them. I could have opened their eyes.
North Korea's Medicare system has fundamentally collapsed. Antiquated machines grind intraocular lenses. Apart from an outdated ultrasound machine, there are no computers or digital equipment here. The North Koreans say this is because the country is economically isolated with sanctions. Foreign critics claim the disastrous medical situation stems from the disproportional investment made into the military and not into hospitals.
Currently, we are stuck in a problem of trade. We cannot train on advanced equipment because of the problem with the system and the sanctions against our country. Imports cannot come in, and we cannot go abroad. Scientific skills have advanced, but we cannot study. Advanced American books do not reach us. This is our problem.
One of the most serious ways the Koreans feel the sanctions is when it comes to medical care. There are not enough hospitals, there are not enough facilities, and there are not enough medicines to take care of people. They blame the United States. Glaringly absent in the operating theaters are the tools of modern surgery. The surgeons do not even have basic sterile gloves. For the chief of ophthalmology, the reasons for the sanctions is not as important as the results. Professor Rim shows us equipment that should have been junked years ago, but it's repackaged and reinvented. The medical results are less than satisfactory.
We
have 20,000 patients per year in need of treatment. They cannot see, they are effectively blind. To treat their cataract, they need an operation. We have to transplant intraocular lenses. There are only a few hospitals capable of such an operation, including our hospital. At the moment, we can serve only 5,000 patients. That means 15,000 cannot be treated properly. We can only provide limited old standard techniques, and they cannot see well even after the treatment.
Across the border in South Korea, doctors who escaped from the north describe a much more frightening picture of the state of medical care. In this Seoul suburb are the offices of Bukumaru, an information agency focusing on North Korea. Dr. Song cannot practice medicine in the south. She escaped from North Korea 2 years ago. Song paid $9,000 to Chinese smugglers, a massive sum of money, to be spirited out of North Korea. If she was caught in China, she would have been sent back certainly to prison. Now she uses the same Chinese services to send money back home to her 7-year-old son and sister. Song risked everything to feed them. We will not reveal her true name so as not to expose her family.
그렇게 하고 가끔 이렇게 보게 되면 우는 아이들이 있잖아요. 길에서.
When I see children crying, that could be my son crying.
그 아이가 내 아이 같은 거죠. 그리고 그 아기
When I see other mothers like myself cursing or hitting their children, I want to tell them not to be so harsh.
아이를 꾸짖거나 또는 내 꿀밥 먹이거나 욕하거나 이럴 때 있지 않습니까? 그때 그 아이가 막 제 아이 같아서
Not to hit them.
꾸짖지 말았으면 욕하지 말았으면 그런 생각. 그러니까 내가 분명히 이 아이를 치료할 수 있는데
I did not have drugs to treat children. The children died.
사망시킬 수밖에 없을 때 그때
I am a doctor. If I cannot treat my patients, how can I be a responsible doctor?
도대체 내가 이렇게 의사 생활을 해야 하나? 내가 의사인가? 인간의
What could I do for the children?
이렇게밖에 할 수 없는가? 이런 생각을 하면서 자기 직무에 대한 회의가
It was very hard.
그런 걸 느꼈고 또 일반 생활이 또 힘들었고 아기들이나 어른들이라도 설사하게 되면 탈수 증상을
We don't even have medicines for diarrhea. We don't have basic bandages for wounds.
상처가 생기면 소독약 같은 정도는 쉽게 해줄 수 있는데
We have nothing basic in the hospitals. If a doctor cannot conduct even basic treatment,
그러니까 그
then
정도도
what good is a doctor?
사실 의사로서 내가 뭘 해야 될까 이런 생각이 들죠.
This is the ideological facade of North Korea. Collective willpower, collective discipline.
민족의 생명님을 인민은 금진없이 사랑합니다.
What is never seen are people just being themselves. These hotel workers are preparing for a ceremony. They poke fun when this manager comes out with his slogans. And then someone else forgets his lines.
경찰 정보분들은 봄철 체육 경기를 위하여 봄철 체육 경기를 위하여 종료를 하겠습니다. 조직기획관장 김정규 반갑습니다.
Once discovered, the camera must go off. North Koreans also have fun with enemies. In this theatrical spoof, a Japanese merchant wants to buy an illegal Buddha. Two friends conspire to trick him. North Korea feels Japan robbed the country during the occupation. This is a little bit of revenge. But when it comes to discussing culture and arts, the rigid rhetoric reemerges.
In our country, cultural activity and creativity is entertainment. It is vital for the spirit, especially in these difficult times. The United States is using a policy of economic hardship. With courage, we can overcome this hardship. We're in a difficult situation, but we can smile. We have talent and ability. And with the guidance of the dear leader, General Kim Jong-il, we have the optimism to reach a better life.
Seoul has become a magnet for North Korean artists, frustrated by a lack of opportunity and daring enough to risk the escape to South Korea. But when they arrive, they hit a cultural roadblock. Kim came here because she had no chance to progress in the north. She came from a lower social class, far from Pyongyang. Kim has established a troupe of North Korean singers and dancers. They are rehearsing traditional folk songs. A local politician sponsors their efforts. But in South Korea, Western-style music, not old folk songs, are popular.
I was very shocked. It was very hard. In the first year, I had to get used to everything. This is a different culture. The South Korean language is different. It is full of foreign words. South Korea is so advanced. Here is an interesting example. Ripped jeans is what people wear. People move around with mobile phones, they have private cars, and each house has a computer. All what I saw had been unimaginable for me. After I began to live here, I had to start learning from the beginning like a child. Actually, a child would know more than I understood. I have to remember so much, and it's very hard. At first, it was very hard not to understand. Now, I have gotten used to the fact that I do not understand.
이것이 우리가 50년 동안 갈라져 있었기 때문에
50 years we have been separated, and so I suffer from that. I will get used to it here. At least I think so.
Thousands of school children flocked to Maegongdae to see the peasant huts that served as Kim Il-sung's home during his youth. Just as American children are taught about the revolution that brought independence, these children are taught about conforming to collective will.
Mangang Day is the source of the sun. The great leader Kim Il-sung rose up like the sun. We love to visit here because we worship our allegiance to our great leader.
Education is very important in Korea, just like in any other country. It's considered the future for its citizens. At Pyongyang Medium School, they face unusual challenges.
At this orphanage school, the great leader and the dear leader are considered the protectors of orphans. The school is desperate for assistance, but there is deception. The blame is placed on American economic pressure, not on the bankrupt economic policies of the regime. In this grade 7 chemistry class, there are no labs, no computers. Paper is scarce. The quality is poor.
This is closely related to the students' eye problems, so I hope we will be provided with good paper.
Even if the paper is provided, North Korea does not have the resources to deliver the product to the schools.
We receive assistance from many countries. The problem is transportation. So what we really need is a 10-ton truck to transport the paper. What's most important is that 10-ton truck.
Students were allowed to talk to us as kids without the slogans. That's revolutionary for this country.
I love novels. I want to be a famous musician, so people will love me. In the evening, we relax. My favorite class is literature. We also go camping. We go to the fields and snap pictures. We think of our teachers and principal as our fathers and mothers.
What can we do to protect our earth? Protect our earth.
North Koreans are a very proud people, so we were taken to a prestigious school for languages.
Water is becoming water vapor. There isn't much water vapor rising into the sky, okay? Yes. Yeah, so we have to save the water.
English here is fluent, but literal, not conversational. That is because the students are not allowed to have tangible contact with foreigners, television, or the internet.
My name is Chef Bentley. My name is Sandy. My name's Linda. My name is Sue. She's my mommy. And she's my wife. Tomorrow is a holiday. We are going on a picnic. Oh, great! We have to get up early. That's great. Please get ready for a picnic tomorrow. I understand. Bye. Bye. I'm going to have a picnic in Italy. In Italy? It's very nice. The landscape in Italy is very beautiful indeed. That's very nice.
The finest students continue to the Pyongyang College for Languages. This boardroom commemorates a visit from Kim Il-sung. Kim sat here. The best student is given his chair as a place of honor. Ma Gun-wi has received that honor. In another rare sign of openness, she was allowed to talk to us.
What's your dream about what you'd like to do in the future?
Well, at this stage, I can't quite tell you exactly because it's still right in my heart, and I have this habit of not telling anybody before I do anything because I want it to be a surprise.
Ma has the wondrous naivete of someone who has not touched the outside world.
While I've been studying English, I've come to learn more about English culture, specifically speaking the British and American. I've come to learn the culture and traditions they have. When we greet each other, we don't normally shake hands with others. We just lower our heads and show our respect to elders. And days like the lunar moon, that's our festival, we put on our traditional togoris and go to our elders to show our respect to them. I realized that in America, they just like, well, their way of saying hellos is just like a friendly wave sometimes, and that's a bit different, but it does show that they still do care for each other and those kind of things. And so, and food is completely different, and well, in the matter of culture, that's all I can say.
Cha Yong-sik is a deputy director in the powerful trade ministry. As part of the North Korean elite, he pins hopes on students like Ma Gon-wi to develop the country's future.
What we are saying by reading your lips, by seeing the shapes of your movement of your lips.
This is the person that you are walking, so you are speaking.
But to compete in the global village, students like Ma need free exposure to the outside world. That issue has not been resolved in this isolated country.
If you had a chance to meet a 20-year-old from Canada or America, what would you like to tell them, and what would you like to discuss with them?
Well, there would be too many things that I'd like to ask them and too many things that I would like to tell them, but I would like to know what kind of life she leads. I mean, the way they think, the views they take on like certain subjects might be different to mine. And there would be lots of things that I'd like to tell the person, like about the, well, what should I say, the great sceneries in our country, like Mount Baekdu. People from other countries, they're very interested in our politics, our system of politics, and there would be Sungun politics, and lots of people are very interested in that, in our unique politics, which has been created by our great leader. And so I would tell them all that they would like to know about that, and of course, well, just make friends with each other so we can widen our relationship throughout the world.
Trade officials like Cha Yong-sik realize that apart from investing into students like Ma, North Korea must also invest into breaking out of its isolation to develop and prosper. Cha and his colleagues try to network with foreign businessmen, especially executives from powerful South Korea. When the South Koreans visit here, they often join in songs of reunification. It's a half-century-old dream. Once laced with bloodshed, it's now personified in unprecedented joint business projects.
The songs means, every song means this our nation is one. This our people, our parents, our sister, you know, this our family. Recently we have, how can I say, to promote the economic projects between South and North.
This is why Cha and North Korea need investment from affluent South Korea. This is the North Korean countryside. Folk songs romanticize about the hard work, but there is nothing romantic going on in these fields. That is why Cha only allowed me to film from a passing distance. There are hardly no tractors, no harvesters. It's back-breaking work, and plowing is still done with oxen. The highways in the countryside are virtually empty. There are very few trucks available to transport the produce to cities and towns. North Korea is desperate for food. Starvation has dropped only because World Food Organizations are providing the 400,000-ton deficit in rice and grains. This is the image North Koreans want to portray, a powerful collective working force. Since the inception of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, it has seen itself at the front line of communism. backed by the former USSR and Maoist China, inspired by Lenin and Marx, carried forward by Kim Il-sung. But it is collapsing in the changing 21st century. The state stores are empty. The only source of electric power is a dinosaur generator plant from the Soviet Union. There are no spare parts to keep it going. And because of the lack of electricity, heavy industry is crippled. At night, only the tower commemorating Kim Il-sung's Juche philosophy shines. His subjects live in relative darkness. Desperate for help, North Korea is now allowing the once unthinkable. South Korean capitalist businesses are building factories just across this imposing border.
Coming a lot of economic companies from South Korea, and we are built together some joint economic zone straight away on the demarcation line.
The South Korean motor giant Hyundai is building 16 factories across the DMZ here in Kaesong. There's hardly a vehicle moving in this city. But within a decade, 250,000 North Koreans could be working in Hyundai-related industries. It would pry open the country.
Kaesong will emerge as an internationally competitive industrial, tourism, and cultural city, and will play a pivotal role for exchanges and cooperation between the North and South. For international business, it represents a unique and exciting opportunity.
While this is the dream, this is their nightmare. When the Berlin Wall came down, powerful East Germany almost instantly collapsed. If the North Korean regime falls apart in a similar fashion, then South Korea will suddenly have to support 26 million poverty-stricken North Koreans. It would be a tough economic burden.
We saw reunification from West and East Germany, but we don't want a sudden reunification.
To avoid economic collapse, North Korea is being forced to open up to the outside world. This Pyongyang exhibition tries to attract foreign investment. The Chinese communists survived because they opened the country in this way. Kim Jong-il is trying a similar strategy.
Now North Korea cannot change like China. It must happen progressively, slowly. Our nation will support this progressive policy.
Go slow, however, may not work. Food distribution has collapsed in North Korea. And so newly sanctioned private markets like Tong-il are evolving. Emerging local merchants demand high prices for food and appliances.
One or two or a score of these little markets do not fundamentally change the picture in North Korea. I think once North Korean people are free to move about anywhere in the country they want to go, I think once the North Koreans are able to access external markets, travel overseas freely, speak freely, all of those things that we take for granted in democratic societies, once we start seeing those changes happen, then yes, I will agree that fundamental changes are taking place in North Korea. What I think has been positive about the last 10 years is that steadily and incrementally, of course, our businessmen, our government officials, our scholars, our newspapermen who have traveled to North Korea have, I think, all of them together have left a mark on how different life can be.
That's not enough to instill change, says Kang Chol-won. Kang spent almost a decade in North Korean prison camps. He escaped from the country. Kang wants South Korea to stop economic appeasement of the North and work to topple the regime.
The political situation in North Korea is how to make people bleed. We have to help these victims, to save them. Those who advocate a go-slow policy and ignore the human rights situation act irresponsibly.
Kang was just as old as these North Korean children when he was sent to a prison camp with his family. Kang had also believed Kim Il-sung loved children. Imprisoned in a mountain forest camp, Kang learned how to hunt anything that moved in order to eat. Finding food was the only way to survive. Many died.
In the camps, you only live like animals, not human beings. You only think about how to get food, to find and eat like animals. They are not humans, animals.
Kang wrote about his ordeal. The family was imprisoned simply because they were ethnic Korean communists who had emigrated from Japan.
If someone has the will, he survives. But if not, he dies. I don't know how we cope with this suffering. We know of 200,000 political prisoners in camps. Many North Koreans who have fled the country to China were forced back and then imprisoned. We have no accurate figures of how many of them are lost in the Gulag, but we know where these camps are located. A lot of people have managed to escape, and that is how we know where they are.
The Arches of Reunification embody the North's dream of unifying the Korean peninsula. It's almost a messianic reunification of workers. For those who have escaped to the South, reunification is the only hope to see families again. Kim sings songs of loved ones reuniting one day. It would ring well in the North, but in the South, there are other tunes. Seoul University is the premier college in South Korea. Students here look to the West, not the North, for the latest trends and styles. The United States and rock culture is much closer to these students than North Korea or Pyongyang. For Jean Woo, reunification is a dream that has died.
I think in time that these dreams are no longer what they used to be. That people are thinking instead of reunification, first North Korea has to improve its economic conditions, and then they may consider two governments but one country as a potential better way to handle the situation. Both South Koreans are afraid that if reunification occurs, the economy will be affected by North Korea's economy.
Ma Gong-wi is the same age as Jean Woo. They live only 250 kilometers from each other, but they reside in different worlds.
People feel afraid of things because they don't understand it. If they understand, well, understanding comes from seeing and experiencing. And people do not know us very well.
It must be couch potatoes. People are becoming aware of just how, what a terrible situation North Korea is in. There's no electricity, people are starving, now black markets are occurring.
If people come and spend some time with us and get to know our culture more better and get to know our people more better, they'll know that we can be very friendly.
when people actually meet, the language is already so different and the culture is already so different that it would be hard to say that in reality we are still one people.
If people would just come and spend time with us and exchange our different views and come to an understanding, then I would say that would create relationships, friendly relationships. Well, just make friends with each other so we can widen our relationship throughout the world.
Friendships, understanding, it's a different North Korean tune. But along with those pleasant words, there is also nuclear armament and totalitarian rule. Only time will tell if North Korea is slowly opening to the world or is just buying time and aid to ultimately develop into a dominant force in East Asia.